Ever wonder if electric vehicles are truly as green as they're touted to be? You're not alone. The environmental impact of electric vehicles is a hot topic, and it's crucial to understand that it's not as black and white as it may seem. Let's start with the manufacturing process. Electric vehicles, or EVs, require large lithium-ion batteries, a creation process that isn't exactly emissions-free. In fact, it involves the use of fossil fuels, resulting in a carbon footprint. Moreover, building a new EV can produce around 80% more emissions than constructing a comparable gas-powered car. That's quite a significant difference, isn't it? But here's the kicker: the major source of emissions for EVs is not from their manufacturing, but rather from the energy used to charge their batteries. This energy often comes from the grid that may still be reliant on fossil fuels, hence contributing to emissions. It's a bit like robbing Peter to pay Paul, isn't it? However, it's not all doom and gloom. EVs may have their environmental challenges, but they still have a lower emissions profile compared to traditional cars when on the road. They don't emit greenhouse gases from their tailpipes, and that's a big plus. The environmental impact of EVs is also influenced by factors such as the energy mix of the grid and the lifespan of the vehicle. As more and more countries add clean energy to their grids, the carbon footprint of charging EVs is expected to decrease. So, it turns out electric vehicles do have a carbon footprint, though it's different from that of gas-powered cars. The debate on the environmental impact of EVs versus gasoline vehicles is complex, and the green credentials of EVs are not as straightforward as they may first appear. But one thing is clear: the more we can shift towards renewable energy sources, the greener our electric vehicles will become. But let's not dismiss gasoline vehicles just yet. You see, there are still several compelling reasons as to why gasoline vehicles maintain their relevance in the present day. Firstly, gasoline vehicles offer considerable efficiency. They can travel long distances on a single tank of gas, with some models offering up to 600 miles of range. This is a feat that most electric vehicles still struggle to match. Moreover, gasoline vehicles are also characterized by their quick refueling times, typically taking only a few minutes to fill up a tank. This factor alone can be a game changer for many people, especially those who frequently undertake long road trips. Secondly, the established infrastructure for gasoline vehicles is a major advantage. Gas stations are ubiquitous, making refueling convenient no matter where you are. This is contrary to electric charging stations, which are not as widespread, particularly in rural areas. The existing infrastructure has been built and improved upon for over a century, and it will take time for electric vehicle infrastructure to catch up. In addition, gasoline vehicles often depreciate slower than their electric counterparts. Electric vehicles, while improving, have been known to suffer from battery degradation over time, which can significantly impact their resale value. In contrast, well-maintained gasoline vehicles can hold their value better, making them a more economically sound choice for many. An interesting factor to consider is how changes in oil prices can influence consumer preferences for vehicle types. It's been observed that high and rising oil prices lead to consumers opting for smaller, lighter, and more fuel-efficient vehicles, whereas lower oil prices result in a shift towards larger, less fuel-efficient vehicles. This dynamic interplay can shape the vehicle market in fascinating ways. In conclusion, while electric vehicles are certainly the future, we cannot simply overlook the advantages that gasoline vehicles bring to the table. They are efficient, supported by a robust infrastructure, and often depreciate slower. And let's not forget, consumer preferences can shift with the ebb and flow of oil prices. So for now, it's safe to say that gasoline vehicles still have a significant role to play in our transportation ecosystem. The shift to electric vehicles is undeniably underway, but is it all good news? The transition to electric vehicles presents a double-edged sword. On one hand, they offer the potential to drastically reduce our carbon footprint. On the other hand, this seismic shift could bring about its own set of environmental challenges. One significant issue is the increased demand for electricity. As we replace our gas-guzzling vehicles with electric counterparts, the demand for power to charge these vehicles will naturally rise. The source of this electricity becomes crucial. If the power used to charge these vehicles comes from coal or gas-fired power plants, then we're simply moving emissions from the tailpipe to the smokestack. It's like a game of hide-and-seek with greenhouse gases. However, as more countries add clean energy to their grids, electric vehicles are expected to become even greener. But this transition needs to happen hand in hand, and it's no small feat. The infrastructure required to generate and distribute this clean energy on such a large scale is still being developed in many parts of the world. Another challenge lies in the disposal or recycling of used batteries. Electric vehicles rely on large lithium-ion batteries which, when spent, present a significant environmental hazard if not properly disposed of or recycled. The process of recycling these batteries is complex and energy-intensive, and not all components can be recovered. This presents a significant challenge for a world already grappling with waste management issues. Furthermore, there's an argument that blending renewable fuels with gasoline may inadvertently sustain the oil industry's presence, hindering the transition to electric vehicles. This is a delicate balancing act. Renewable fuels can help to reduce the carbon footprint of existing gasoline vehicles, but they should not become a crutch that slows the shift towards fully electric transportation. In conclusion, while the transition to electric vehicles holds great promise for reducing our carbon emissions, it's not a silver bullet solution. It brings with it a set of challenges that we must address if we are to truly harness its potential and minimize its environmental impact. The transition to electric vehicles isn't without its challenges and potential environmental pitfalls. So, where does this leave gasoline vehicles? As we navigate through the labyrinth of environmental concerns and technological advancements, it's clear that gasoline vehicles still have a significant role to play. In fact, they might just be gearing up for an evolution rather than facing extinction. Let's consider fuel efficiency for a moment. Advancements in technology have dramatically improved the fuel efficiency of gasoline vehicles over the years. This evolution is set to continue, with innovations in engine design and fuel delivery systems promising even more miles out of each gallon of gas. This means less fuel consumption, and consequently, reduced carbon emissions, allowing gasoline vehicles to remain a viable option for many. The potential for hybrid models is another crucial factor here. Hybrids combine the best of both worlds, offering the convenience of gasoline with the environmental benefits of electric power. They serve as a bridge, enabling a smoother transition to fully electric vehicles. This is particularly important in areas where electric vehicle infrastructure is still catching up. High oil prices too have a role to play in the narrative. History tells us that high and rising oil prices often lead consumers to opt for smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles. This has the dual effect of reducing gasoline consumption and nudging the market towards more fuel-efficient vehicles and hybrids. But it's not just about the vehicles themselves, it's also about the infrastructure that supports them. Gasoline vehicles have the advantage of an established, widespread refueling network, something that electric vehicles are still working to match. This, coupled with the quicker refueling times of gasoline vehicles, means they continue to offer convenience that electric vehicles are yet to fully achieve. So, while the future may indeed be electric, it's evident that the journey to that future will involve gasoline vehicles in some shape or form. They may evolve, become more efficient, or even hybridize, but one thing is clear: gasoline vehicles aren't going away anytime soon. So, what have we learned about the environmental impact of electric and gasoline vehicles? We've navigated through the nitty-gritty of both sides of the coin, and it's clear there's more than meets the eye. Electric vehicles, or EVs, undeniably have a lower emissions profile compared to traditional gasoline vehicles. However, they aren't entirely emissions-free. The manufacturing process of these vehicles, specifically the creation of large lithium-ion batteries, does involve the use of fossil fuels and consequently emissions. Furthermore, the energy used to charge these batteries can also contribute to carbon emissions, depending on the energy source. Yet it's encouraging to note that as more countries infuse clean energy into their grids, the emissions profile of EVs will continue to improve. On the other hand, gasoline vehicles, though often seen as the environmental villains of the transport world, have their own set of merits. They have a more established infrastructure and don't face the same range anxiety that plagues EVs. Plus, changes in oil prices and the adoption of more fuel-efficient technologies can lessen their environmental impact. Transitioning to electric vehicles is a double-edged sword. While it can significantly reduce our carbon footprint, it also presents challenges, such as the need for a more robust charging infrastructure and the environmental cost of disposing of or recycling old batteries. So what does the future hold for gasoline vehicles? It's likely they'll continue to exist, at least for the foreseeable future, particularly in areas where the EV infrastructure is lacking or non-existent. But as technology advances and the environmental urgency increases, we can expect the scales to tip further towards electric vehicles. While electric vehicles are an essential part of reducing our carbon footprint, it's clear that gasoline vehicles still have a role to play. As consumers, Our choices can drive the industry towards more sustainable practices.